Hello everybody. Don't Starve Together has such an incredible library of mods that cover pretty much any and every aspect of gameplay you could ever hope for. From UI expansion mods, new characters, balance changes, entirely new gimmicks, or even something as simple as new dishes to cook. Today I'll be showing you some of my absolute favourite mods for the game. Perfect in case you want to spice up your next playthrough. In the past I made a video going over some non-intrusive mods for new players, but this video will be focusing on mods that add entirely new interesting waves of content for those who want something new to experience. If you want your geometric placement and boss HP bars, then check out the other video I did. With that all out of the way, let's look at the first of today's mods, Shoe Time. Have you ever thought to yourself that 2 equipment slots wasn't enough? What if you could equip another item that isn't on your head or chest, but instead, a pair of shoes? Yeah, the pitch for this mod is kinda weird, but bear with me, it's really cool. This mod, made by these guys, whose mods we've looked at in the past on this channel, allows you to craft and wear shoes. Basically, it unlocks a whole new category of equipment items to spice up your playthrough, without messing with the balance of the game all too much. To get started, you'll need to explore your world until you find this set piece, where you'll meet Morel, a little mushroom fella who can help you cobble together your own shoes, as long as you keep him fed. Once he's fed, he'll offer to craft you all sorts of different shoes, such as running shoes that offer a speedy buff when outside of combat, riding boots that increase your movement speed and domestication of mounts when rode, summer sandals and snowshoes that offer you insulation from their respective seasons, spore skates that turn into goddamn rollerblades depending on the spores used and the time of day, and battle booties that allow you to perform a drop kick every 3 attacks. That's just to name a few. There's a lot of shoes in this mod. I'm scratching the surface, of course. These shoes offer all sorts of middling benefits to game-changing tweaks at a reasonable price. You are limited to whatever this Morel fella can get up to, but if you feed him, or his really cute pet Cappy, enough times, eventually you'll get the ability to make your own cobbler's table, allowing you to make these shoes wherever you want. Sure, you could argue this makes the game a lot easier, and to be honest, I'm one to agree with you. But it's so well made, so put together, that I think it gets away with it. The whole needing to feed a guy to craft these makes it feel like it could be something from the base game. That's essentially what Pearl is, to be fair. For me, it ticks all the boxes on what a mod needs to be. Fun and fitting to the game. And have I mentioned how the artwork looks near indistinguishable from what Clay puts out? Amazing work like always, guys. Next up, here's a mod that really should be a part of the game. A simple little client-side mod, the Wormwood Flower Extender. Now, if you've ever played Wormwood before, you'll have noticed that whenever he's blooming, he leaves a cute little trail of flowers behind in his wake. Very cool, very pretty, but one thing that always bothered me was that it was always these same old regular flowers, no matter what your currently equipped skin was. That was, until these lot came along and made this mod. It adds custom flowers for each and every one of Wormwood's skins, from little pumpkins with his jack-o'-lantern skin, to tiny hedgerows with his smug hedge skin. This mod covers all of them, and is on the ball whenever Clay adds new Wormwood skins, which, as we can see thanks to the last time this mod was updated, was a few years ago now. Oh, how time flies. I see no reason why this wouldn't be a part of the base game, to be honest. It fits the game too well. And if you're a die-hard Wormwood main, a must-have if you want to see all the cute little flowers this mod adds. For our next mod of the video, we'll be looking at another mod made by people that worked on Shoe Time, and that is Marble Stack Beans. This mod lets you make a marble stack bean out of some marble and seed shells, which, in case you've never seen seed shells before, they're the stuff that the seaweeds drop on death that can be thrown as a pseudo-weapon. Pretty much useless until this mod came around. So what the marble stack bean lets you do is grow marble out at sea. But what's the point of this? Why grow marble out at sea when you can just grow them on land normally? Well, that's because with these sea-based marble stacks, you can actually replant seaweeds on them by using their sea sprout starter kit. Normally you're only able to replant the seaweeds on existing sea stacks out far from the coast, But with this mod, it offers a way to relocate them much closer to the coast instead of relying on existing world generation, offering up whole new ways to farm seaweeds for their barnacle dishes, fish spawning behaviour, or even something to spice up your coastal base. Another mod that feels like it could and probably should be a part of the base game. In my over 1,000 hours on this game, I not once have ever relocated a seaweed or even killed one, because the only place you could ever relocate them to was another random place out in the middle of nowhere in the ocean. And this mod completely remedies that issue. I love it. Just like how I love the other mod these two made, Onboard Gardens. This mod lets you place gardens on a boat. That's it really. A basic mod with incredibly niche applications, but I just love it so much. It opens up the options to grow not only crops on a boat, but also berry bushes or pretty much any other plant that needs soil. Perfect for those who love their sea bases and don't want to miss out on farming whilst out and about. You can also place these onboard gardens on land if you want a cute little round garden anywhere you wanted. But using these things at sea isn't just that simple. The plant's happiness will actually lower if you end up bumping into things, which is a cute little detail. To counter this, if your boat ever gets a leak, that leak will actually help water the plants, which is a very silly but oddly very functional way to keep your plants watered when a bad situation arises. For a mod that adds one simple item, it really has a lot going on under the roof. Something mods made by these two all share in common, like a certain fair few mods they made that all deserve their own entire dedicated videos. But that's for another time. We've been looking at mods that add small nifty things, but how about we scale it up a little bit and look at one of my favourite character mods, and it's a mod that I've featured on this channel in the past. Reign of Runts. Where do I even begin with this mod? Made by Goat Slice, this mod adds 4 new characters based off the seasonal giants from the base game. The Deerclops, the Moose Goose, the Bearger, and the Dragonfly. Now this mod may look silly and out of place, but it's one of the best designed character mods I have ever seen in any game ever, and I'm serious about that. To keep it brief, each character has unique and interesting sets of upsides and downsides, rich with depth and perks to make them insanely fun. You have the Deerclops, who has an immunity to cold and the ability to smash things with her bare hands, but is also horribly weak to overheating and will lose sanity if you don't smash things up constantly. Then we have the Moose Goose, who can perform a spin attack, create nests for localized buffs, honk occasionally when they attack, run on water, but will refuse to eat anything with eggs in it. After that, you have the Bearger, who is extra durable, sheds fur, and can perform their iconic ground pound attack, but at the cost of entering a pseudo-hibernation phase when they're in winter. And finally, the Dragonfly, who has an immunity to overheating and fire, can summon larvae to fight alongside her, and even enter an enraged state at the cost of a huge sanity hit when eating too many burnt items or when in combat. These characters have way more perks than the ones I just mentioned, but I'd be here all day and night if I had to describe all of them. There's simply a lot here. These characters are super deep and super fun to play as, but the mod is way more than just that, because not only does it introduce 4 new characters, it adds 4 new characters with full insight trees. Yes, fully developed insight trees, unique for every single character, with alignment perks and everything, and they're really bloody cool. Ice magic and damage for the Deerclops, tree shaking and flight for the Moose Goose, custom fur crafts and a berserking mode for the Bearger, and flame attacks with summoner buffs for the Dragonfly. These insight trees are bonkers, even better than some of the stuff Clay put out early on. I swear to God, Clay, you need to redo Wolfgang's insight tree. But would you believe me if I said the mod is still not done either, because every character has a bunch of skins that look amazing and fit the art style of the game perfectly, as well as the usual custom character traits of full dialogue sheets, custom voices, idle animations, and config options up the wazoo so you can make this mod into whatever you want. Is there anything else this mod adds? Yes, there is actually. It adds Balatro cards for each and every character in the mod. Fantastic. This mod is an absolute must try. I cannot suggest it enough. I need to make a video covering it in depth fully eventually. So well made and incredibly put together. A personal favourite of mine for many years, just like the last mod we'll be looking at today. One that I've been a fan of since its inception, and one I really wish could become a part of the base game sometimes. And that mod is Feast and Famine. Now this mod and I have history, but we'll get to that. This mod is made by these two, and it introduces many new dishes into the game. Not too many, just a healthy smattering, as well as new cooking methods, balance overalls, and even reskins of existing items to add a lot more variety to your world. First of all, you'll notice that your world will have wheatgrass growing everywhere. This crop-like thing can be harvested like regular grass to get grass, but also wheat. On its own, wheat can't do much, but if you make a grinding stone, you can turn that wheat into flour. And that flour unlocks a whole new world of bread-based dishes. Loaves of bread, jammy sandwiches that cook in pairs of two, cheese toasties, garlic bread. Or if you're feeling a little bit more Italian, you can turn that wheat into pasta dough, which you can then hang on a drying rack to turn into pasta, which can then be turned into all sorts of pasta dishes. Make actual spaghetti and meatballs, fettuccine, mac and cheese, simple ways to expand the cooking system in the game by using methods already seen in the game. But that's not all, of course. As well as the milling stone, you can also make a bread box. This can hold exactly one bread-based food item in there to stop it spoiling completely. This was made before Clay did the whole Ica preserving kit, so if you want to think it's overpowered, then that's up to you. But you can also dry tomatoes to make them into sun-dried tomatoes, which function as veggie alternatives to jerky. With all of that, this mod may seem like it makes the game a little bit easier, which it does, but it also adds some features that make the game a little bit more difficult to balance all of that. First of all, it introduces a boatload of crock block dishes, which are recipes designed to punish the player for relying on too easy to make dishes, like juicy cutlets if you use too many berries, stone soup if you use too many stone fruits, and stewed meat if you rely on too much ice when making your meaty dishes. It basically requires the player to experiment a little bit more when it comes to cooking, which, with all the new ingredients and dishes, is a given with this mod. But on top of all of that, you also gotta keep an eye out on monstrous eggs if you try to feed monster meat to birds. This isn't just a reskin of eggs, and will count as a monster food when compared to regular eggs. But speaking of reskins, the mod also has some nifty little reskins of all the different types of meat in the game. Koalaphants, pigmen, bearjars, they'll all drop a visually different but functionally identical piece of meat, and they will all combine just fine in your inventory, so you don't have to worry about clutter. Finally, the one balance change that exists, which is entirely optional and off by default, is a feature that makes it so a lot of the regular pigskin crafts like football helmets require you to dry pigskin on a drying rack into leather before you can make them. A cute little immersive way to add an extra level of production before you can make certain items, and one that makes getting football helmets, one of the best early game headgear items, a tiny bit harder to get right away. The mod adds way more than just that. I barely scratched the surface today. Lobster dishes, turnips, chickens, different jelly dishes, it's got it all. And one that I can confidently recommend nowadays. This mod is actually really old. It was made over 6 years ago now, and kinda became more unstable over time as it didn't get updated with the later versions of DST. It was heartbreaking seeing my favourite mod crash my game more and more as time went on. That was until earlier this year, where the author came back and actually updated the mod to be stable again. You really don't know how excited I was when I saw this mod updating. Finally, after all of these years, I can with full confidence recommend this mod to everyone again, and always use it during my spare time. Please check it out, it's one of the best mods ever made. But as a treat for you all making it this long, I'll chuck in an extra mod just for you, and it's one that works excellently with Feast and Famine, and that's the Beefalo Milk mod. Originally made by these guys and later updated by this guy, this mod does exactly what it says on the tin. It lets you milk Beefalo. Milk in the base game is a really annoying ingredient to get. You need to electrocute a vault goat and then kill it. But this mod adds a new source of dairy that isn't from electric goats or eyeballs or super rarely from butterflies. With this mod, you can make milking bowls that let you milk beefalo. Just simply use it on them as if you were shearing them. But be careful when doing this, because unless you wear a beefalo hat, the beefalo will try to kick you. This gets you raw milk ultimately, which on its own isn't good for anything. So you need a couple of servings of these before you can make actual milk. From here you can use it in a selection of vanilla dairy dishes like ice cream, or even brand new ones like milkshake. Or we can take it a step further and turn it into cheese by either putting it in a crock pot or just leaving it on the ground to curdle into curd. The cheese can then spoil some more to age into different types of cheeses, or used in several cheesy based recipes, such as pizza, cheesecake, or even some recipes added by Feast and Famine, such as cheese toasties or mac and cheese. Yet again, another simple mod that adds so much more depth to cooking with just one simple ingredient. Opens up a whole new world of both new and old dishes, from the base game and from other mods. This mod actually adds a bunch of different types of cheese as well, and some even offer unique buffs, as all good food should. It's highly configurable, it's easy to use, and with how beefalo will sometimes kick you is fairly balanced. You're not going to be breaking the quote-unquote fickle balance of DST if you use this mod. It fits perfectly well, give it a shot. And make sure to use Feast and Famine too for a full culinary expansion to your world of DST. And that's where we'll be ending today's mod spotlight video. There's plenty more mods out there that I am dying to talk about, but I'll save them for another video, or even their own dedicated spotlight. Island adventures, ancient dreams, a certain compromising mode. But for now, I hope I showed you some mods that you're willing to try out and are open to spicing up your world of Don't Starve Together. I'm only scratching the surface, but that's all I'll be scratching for today. Cheers for watching everybody, I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye bye.